What's up, Mananap? Welcome to Code Go News. So for today, I am going now um, to implement how my SQL join statements are actually implemented into uh, into our database records or into our MySQL query. So MySQL supports different SQL statements. So the most common MySQL statements are um, left join, right join, which are both outer joins, and inner join. All the other SQL join statements are cross join and self join. So now I'm going to discuss each of it one by one. So let's start with the join first, which is the inner join statement. So note in the ERD that I have discussed about the DBMS pet, we have different tables there that are TBL pet, TBL gender, both connected to TBL owner and pet, as well as we have also TBL breed that is connected or logically connected to TBL pet, and it has also logical relationship with TBL type, and we have also status that is connected with TBL gender. So let's show our database. So show databases, and let's use dbms underscore pet. Okay, so let's show the tables within this database. So we have the breed, gender, owner, pet, and status. Now we can start describing them one by one. Let's say the relationship between the table pet and the table gender. So describe TBL gender. So it's good for us to know the construct or to the parang construction or the what they call this one, the the design of our table. Now we should know that because that's the basis for us to to have to invoke accurate and the right SQL statement, which is particular join statements. So as you can see, we have here in our table pet, we have pet ID, pet owner ID, pet name, gender, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Notice that pet ID is a primary key, and then our owner ID is a multiple instances, meaning to say this is foreign key. And also with the pet gender, it's pet breed and also status are all foreign keys. Now, let's create the first muna, para to simplify these things out. We are going to join two tables muna for now. Let's say uh, the gender as well as the table pet. So as you can see, gender ID is a primary key of the table, and the in your table pet you have their table attribute pet gender, which is a primary foreign key, meaning to say the relationship of the gender and the table are one, a pet may have must have one gender, okay, and a gender can be assigned to one or many pets. So there is one to many or many to one relationship. Okay, so let's project the record. So from tbl underscore pet. So as you can see, you have here in under our pet gender, instead of you have here the male female values, you have here represented with the primary key, which are 1 2 1 2 1 2, basically 1 2 1 2, and so on and so forth. So if we try to look at it in, I mean, to show our TBL gender, you have here one for male and two for female. So this would mean that our gender is has actually I mean, Scarlett is is a female, Anjun is also a female, Chris is a female, while Diane is a male, so on and so forth. Okay. Now of course, the same thing with the owner ID, the pet breed, status ID, and we will do that later on. But this time, let's focus on the table pet and table gender. So right here, as you can see, the things that the our table is actually showing is a little bit confusing, especially if you're just a user, or let's say you're a cashier, or you're just a normal user who doesn't have any idea about databases. So what if these ones are the ones being shown to your UI, let's say to an application? So of course, as a cashier or as a user, you will find it difficult to understand. Like, what is this gender 2? What is this gender value 1? No, and the same that follows on in the other fields. So of course, as a user, you'll have to know that 1 is male and 2 is female. And again, it's not a good idea, because we don't hire users, cashiers, who are well off writing SQL scripts. Okay, so behind it is at least bahala ginana, but if we are going to present it into to our user, to someone who is accessing the data. So make sure that you display meaningful values. So that is meaningful and understandable by understandable, and it can be it can be easily understood, and in a form of human readable information. So these are human readable information. However, again, if you are going to give out values for your gender like 1 and 2, for grade 5, so on and so forth, or status, and for owner ID. This will give them different assumption. Okay, so this time we're going to do a join. We are going to join pet and gender. So to do that, we'll have here, let's join, let's display ID of the pet. So pet name, and then let's say we have pet age. Okay, now let's look into to our table. So we have in our TBL pet, you have here pet gender, okay, as the foreign key, and then gender ID is a primary key of the TBL gender. So they must be of the same type. So we have type int 8, type int 8, because again, that's our basis for like creating relationship between the two tables. So this time, we're going to uh, put here the let's say the gender. So we'll have here p pet gender. Okay. Now, if we're going to combine the tables, how are we going to do that? So you must have this is now the parang the idea of doing aliasing, no? Para mag-alias ka. So otherwise, if you don't do aliasing, like p dot pet ID, pet name, pet age, pet gender, so you will have to type in or to spell out the table. Okay, so tbl underscore pet. But if instead of doing that, you can actually create an alias. So to represent our table pet, we can assign it like, instead of tbl underscore pet, we can use p to represent tbl pet, and you will use that all throughout the other fields. So we have here p that pet age. But again, if you don't like if you don't want that, if you don't want to use that, you can spell out the entire name of the table. So tbl pet gender. Okay, from so what are we going to combine? Let's say we're going to call the field. So we have here, we are going to display gender title in the TBL gender. So instead of we are showing, or we are using or showing the value 1 and 2, we display gender title that corresponds to that 1 and 2 values. Okay, so to do that, you have here to g dot gender title. So the same, exactly the same kung sa tong pangalan sa mga fields nito. So g dot gender title from tbl pet. P, okay, and then you can have inner join TBL, gender G. So now, notice that in your G, that gender title here, gender underscore title, we use G to represent TBL gender. So we use P to represent TBL pet. So right there, so TBL pet P, inner join TBL gender G, and don't forget to include on. Okay, so this time we are going to use the primary key and foreign key relationship. So we'll be using P dot, okay, pet gender, because the name of our column in the TBL pet is pet gender. Okay, on TBL P dot pet gender uh, on wait P TBLG join TBLG on P that pet gender equals, okay, G that gender pet gender, no, gender ID. So because the name of our column in gender is gender ID. So we have here and join. So we want, this is telling our SQL processor to join the gender as well as the table using p.petGender and the g.gender ID. So if you're going to run and invoke that SQL statement or script, you will be shown with the values. So of course, your values now would have gender title male, male, female, and these are, so it's physically, ang display dira are the values male, female, but again, these are not occurrence of parang data redundancy because there is ang gihimo nimo is gi-join nimo siya, meaning to say ang instance sa gender ID na 1 is actually male and ang instance sa gender ID 2 is actually female, which is physically it repeats displaying, but there's only one instance of value for 1 and there's only one instance for the value of 2. So instead of doing that, you can actually remove para dili siya confusing, you can actually remove the P that pet gender. I mean this ID right here. So instead you use G the gender title. So this time, if this is what you will show to your user, so your user will have a better understanding that Diane is actually a male, which is actually not, and Diana, which is also a male, and Naphtali is a male, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you have the option to not include gender ID, okay, anymore, because again, that only represents for the relationship of the two tables, and what we are actually going to get the value from that table is the actual value of that corresponds to that value, which are 1 and 2 primary keys. Okay, so this is again an example of join statement using joining two tables or inner join. So by the way, join or inner join, I mean you can use join instead, like pwede na siya walay inner join. So this is like the same. So inner join is it means that the all the rows in the table are going to match each other. So the row from the TBL pet and the row from the TBL gender, if it's going to match together, then it is going to display all those instances. So that's the idea of um, the inner join or join, yeah, inner join or simply join. Okay, so that's for join statement using two tables only. So another one is pwede na to na siya like what happened. So we can actually we can use where statement here. So all those things that you have learned so far, like you can have aggregate functions here. You can have my string functions here, date functions or whatsoever. You can you can use that along with your MySQL statement. So for an instance, you have here G or gender title. Okay, title is equal to female. So this one, it's only going to show all gender which are female. Okay, and you can have like and pet age is greater than 10, something like that. So after you join two tables, you can now uh, use this. You can use the basic where clauses or whatever you've learned from our previous topics. So I guess that would be all for today. And what I have just shown you or demonstrated to you is joining two tables which are logically related with each other. So thank you guys for watching this video. Have a great day. Bye bye.